Hello and welcome. You're watching Business Today Television. I'm Sakshi Batra with Michelle Bhatnagar, and this is Market Today. After a day's holiday, we're back in the markets again. Remember, before the holiday, we had been actually seeing a very sideways to bearish kind of a phase for the Nifty. And as the final trading session of December expiry now approaches, the Nifty continues to follow this sideways trajectory. On Tuesday, in fact, what we had seen for the benchmarks, the Sensex and the Nifty, that ended an extremely volatile session on a subdued note. The rupee hitting an all-time low had further evoked a lot of caution amidst investors as well. And after this Christmas holiday, we are back to face this monthly expiry of December, the last expiry of 2024. Of course, trading volumes could again remain thin as most of the Asian markets, Australia, Hong Kong, China and New Zealand, are continuing to close today. Now, when we do look at the kind of volumes that will be pouring in from US and from the Asian markets after a day and a half holiday is something that we have to watch out for again. Remember, on Tuesday, again, US had jumped ahead of the early market closure. We had seen S&P 500 adding about 1% higher in trade, Dow Jones gain about 0.9%, Nasdaq climbing about 1.3%. So the positive handover continued. However, when we talk about the flows that have been coming in, overseas investors have straight net sellers in the Indian equity markets for the 7th straight session. They offloaded stocks worth about 2,454 odd crores. Although domestic institutional investors stayed buyers for the 6th session, they bought stocks worth about 2,819 odd crore rupees. Remains to be seen now how this day pans out and how do we really shut shop when we come to the closing of 2024. Good morning to all our viewers and good morning, Shell.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go directly to what the pre-open is telling us, and it's not looking good, and that's mainly on because of how the US 10-year yield as well as the dollar index is moving up. A 300-point cut on the Nifty, 23,431. Remember that we now have 4 sessions left to call 2024 a year. Well, this will be the 9th year in which the Sensex and the Nifty will give positive returns, and this is the longest running streak, the annual streak that we have ever since the Sensex was set up in 1978. So very, very good run-ups, but the fact is that we are in immense pain as far as the daily moves are concerned, and that's only because the US 10-year yield and the dollar index are at multi-month highs. The dollar index, of course, highest since October 2022, and we have a May 2024 high on the US 10-year yield. If these two are rising, there is very little chance that you will see Indian equities going up. All the jumps that you are seeing will be sold into, and that is most likely that is going to happen in today's volatile, choppy and light trade. However, the run-up to the budget is most likely in the pipeline. Therefore, we'll keep an eye out on all PSU stocks from the railway space, from the defense space, from the banking space. What's more interesting is that you have the end of the monthly expiry as far as the Nifty is concerned today. Futures, options and other derivatives expire for December. It's been a very, very painful month for the Nifty, although on a month-on-month basis, it's absolutely flat, down about 1%. Ditto for Bank Nifty. But the pain that is there in individual stocks is beyond describable. A lot of volume and a lot of selling activity, delivery-based selling activity is seen in all counters where you see overvaluation, and that is likely to continue into January. The only flags of hope that I see are third quarter earnings and, of course, the run-up to the budget. Sakshi.
Right, we will keep an eye out on all the stocks then that we are focused on today. Remember, BPCL is in focus. It was selected as the lowest bidder in NTPC's tender for selection of solar power generators to establish 1200 megawatts of ISTS connected solar PV power projects across India. Secured a 150 megawatt capacity in a reverse auction rights there. So we'll keep an eye out on that one. Ramki Infra will be in focus. The company has announced the receipt of a letter of acceptance for a 215 crore contract from Hyderabad Metropolitan Water Supply and Sewage Board. That will be in focus again. Apart from this, Nalco will be in focus. It signed mining lease for Utkal D and Utkal E coal block So that will be in focus again, indicative of 1.5% of an uptick. Now, when we look at some of the other stocks, Ola Electric will be in focus. Remember, the company had already announced that they will be expanding to 4,000 touch points and stores nationwide. They have done so on the occasion of Christmas, and therefore the stock will be in focus. Apart from this, Gland Pharma could be in focus. There are certain 10 observations that a French regulator has actually come up with. So there could be a downtick. Yes, there is an indicative of about almost 1% of a lower opening for Gland Pharma. We'll keep an eye out on that one too. And then we can keep an eye out on Max India as well. The company has approved the sale of 3 floors owned at Max Towers, Noida, to MTPL for 105 crores. That will be in focus. Stock is 0.5% higher in the pre-open trade. We also will look at Walchand Nagar Industries. It's received major purchase order for HF reactors worth 45 crores. So that's also going to be impacting it positively. There's an order flow. Welspun Corp could be in focus. EPIC has signed a contract worth 57 million rupees for steel pipes. So that will be in focus again, about a 0.5% uptick for this one too. There is Ultratech Cement has received a 34 crore GST order. So that could be in the negative zone. Let's see how that one is also opening in the pre-open zone. And apart from this, we are also going to be keeping a keen eye out on BPL. Supreme Court has ordered the company to remit 72 crores to Morgan Securities and Credits Private Limited. And that's an order, so therefore 8% of a downtick is what you're seeing on this one. Those are some of the stocks that we can definitely look at in today's trading session. Shell.
Actually, what we'll do is we'll just pay a bit attention to what the opening quotes are telling us.
Yeah.
Nifty as flat can be, and that itself is a big relief. 8 points higher, 23,732. What are the stocks in the green? L&T, 20 rupees higher, 36.60. Bajaj Finance, 22 rupees higher, 68.30. You have Hindustan Unilever in the green, 3 rupees higher. What's pulling the Nifty down? HDFC Bank, 2.5 rupees lower. Reliance, flat, 12.22. ICICI Bank, 3 rupees higher. And Infosys, 6 rupees lower. So of the 4 top heaviest weighted counters, 3 are in the red. Therefore, you can easily make out what's likely to be. Nifty improving further, 32 points higher, 23,759. A very quick look in the most active counters. Surprise, surprise. We have HDFC Life, 619, 0.5% lower as the top traded counter so far. What's in the green? Newgen Software, Deepak Fertilizer, Shree Cement, and of course, you have a bit of a green on Siemens. Nothing much. So light, choppy, and volatile day ahead. We have 4 sessions left, including today, to call 2024 the last session. And of course, the fact that you will see some NAV being buttressed in the next 4 sessions. So expect quality buying, but light and volatile trades, Sakshi.
Okay, we'll also look at then the brokerage houses, updates as well. Today, Motilal Oswal has come out with a report on PNB Housing Finance. They have a buy call and a target price of 1160 on PNB Housing Finance. The stock is reacting on a positive note in the pre-open trade at least. 1.5% higher. They believe there is a strategic shift in product mix, tracking well on execution. Mixed improvement in the has been also seen to aid the NIM expansion for the company going forward. Recoveries are going to be keeping the credit costs benign. However, the company now in well position to deliver 18% loan CAGR over FY24 to FY27, and currently the stock trades at 1.2 times FY26 PE as well, so that's also positive. Now, ICICI Securities has come out with a report on Cello World. They have a buy call and a target price of 960. They are constructive as there are multiple growth tailwinds they believe for the company in FY26. 1.3% higher is what it is being indicative of as an opening today. They also believe the company is investing in brand building, digital spends, quick commerce may contribute to materially in earnings in FY26, and some growth spurts will be visible in few pockets in Q3 of FY25, indicating demand recovery as well. Apart from this, autos are in focus for Motilal Oswal. They have come out with a note that November was expected to be a weak month due to high base of last year. PV industry has posted a 4% year-on-year growth in dispatches in November. On a year-to-date basis, they believe while two-wheelers ICE segment has grown 10.8% year-on-year, PV industry has posted just 1% growth. They believe as far as their picks are concerned, Maruti, M&M and Hyundai are their top picks in the auto space. Morgan Stanley has come out with a report on oil and gas space. They believe the natural gas demand has grown by 3% year-on-year in November of 2024, and the power sector continues to see seasonal declines. Fertilizer demand is steady, and the LNG market share has averaged at 51%. So that's an overall view that they have given on the oil and gas segment. And the last report that I have is from Equirius on Antony Waste. Long call here with a target of 720 rupees per share. They are saying that there are new CNT contract wins that are going to be helping the company going forward. They believe earnings will be fueled by such wins as well. Incremental volumes at some of the projects can also contribute to the results. Their core EBITDA margin for H1 stood at 21.1% versus 19.5% in H1 of FY24, and that's indicative of a continuous improvement in the operational level. So that's something that they are betting big on, Antony Waste. So those are some of the reports that I'm keeping a keen eye out on, Shell.
Piyush Pandey, Senior Vice President for Equity Research at Centrum, joins us. Namaste, Piyush ji, and a very warm welcome. Greetings for Christmas and hopes that Santa rally will be in place are still there on the Lal Street, but rising US yield and the dollar index are pain points that we are grappling for the last 20 days or so, 20 sessions or so. How do you see sentiment on Dalal Street? What do you think is good and what do you think is ugly?
Okay. I guess there is some issue. We will again connect back to Piyush in a bit. 9:10 right now. Let's look at how the markets have settled in the pre-open trade. 23,775 for the Nifty. About 0.2% of an uptick is what it is being indicative of an opening today. Largely all the sectors could be looking at a positive start, especially banks could be in focus. PSU banks, private banks, all and even the financial services, they could be indicative of positive start. And apart from this, realty, which was so far the outperformer in this week, seems to be opening in the negative. Let's look at the kind of stocks that could be in focus. Oil and gas, keep an eye out on that. Remember, this was the space that was also in the buzz on Tuesday, and BPCL, HPCL could again be in focus. From the private banks, keep an eye out on ICICI Bank. That's indicative of an opening at 1307 levels. That is almost a 0.7% of an uptick. Trent has been gradually moving up. 7047 is what it could open at, another 0.5% of an uptick. So we'll focus on Trent yet again today. Apart from this, consumer durables and metals, these could also be in focus. Okay, I guess we do have Mr. Piyush Pandey, Senior VP Equity Research Analyst at Centrum, with us. Piyush, warm welcome. Good morning to you. Season's greetings. Tell us, how are you really looking at this fag end of the markets, especially the trying times that we've seen in the last 2 or 3 weeks? And how does it really make up your mind for what should be in the offing in 2025?
See, probably Q2 earnings were somewhat on a weaker note. And also, after this rupee depreciation over the last 1 month, there is some weakness in the market. And probably I would say Q3 earnings would be key trigger. So it depends on how the Q3 earnings shapes out. That will decide the course of market over the next 2 to 3 months, I would say. And that is how I would put it.
Right. Namaste, Piyush ji, and a very warm welcome, sir. For January, as also the third quarter earnings, what is the research at Centrum telling its HNIs, ultra HNIs and top clients what to get into ahead of earnings and what to avoid?
I cover IT, Telecom and internet stocks. So I can probably comment on those sectors. So for IT companies, we are expecting that Q3 would be slightly softer because of this furloughs in the December month. And also but on broader basis, we can expect demand environment to slightly pick up from Q2 onwards. So even we might have noticed that on the Accenture result, they have updated guidance for this FY25. and also hiring has picked up. So broadly, there are some green shoots in the demand environment for the BFSI sector, plus hiring has picked up, and also like the demand slippages have come down. So that is something which will drive performance for the IT stocks in Q3 onwards. And I would say the stocks have run up over the last 2 or 3 months. So we might see some time correction. But overall, I would say they remain, I would say, we remain positive on this sector, say over medium to long term.
Piyush, if I have to ask you for 2025, what are going to be the big tailwinds for the markets, as well as what is going to be a big headwind that you are looking at, which would perhaps continue to pull the reins and the Nifty could continue to stay range bound? How would you really look at those two factors playing up?
So I would say headwinds primarily include like rupee depreciation plus slowing down of the Indian economy. And those are, I would say, key headwinds. Coming to tailwinds part, I would say, see, after I would say like there has been some talk that the economy has bottomed out, and there are some green shoots in the demand environment, and we can expect Q3 and Q4 GDP numbers to be slightly better compared to these Q2 numbers. So that can drive the market. And plus, FI selling has been very brutal over the last few months. So if that subsides, that can also support the Indian market.
Yuji, we've had a very, very fantastic rally in the internet space that you track very ably. Strong listing of MobiKwik. There is absolutely no stopping Policy Bazaar. Paytm is in a new orbit. In this space, what are the 2 or 3 buy calls that you have?
See, I track 5 stocks in the new age sector. So they are like, say, Infosys, IndiaMart, Nazara, then eMudra and Map India. So I would say for the new age sector, I would say, stocks, fundamentally strong stocks like, say, Infosys or like, say, eMudra or even like, say, Zomato, they will do pretty well. And even I would say that this e-commerce is picking up good traction recently, and that might drive performance for this Zomato and say similarly also Swiggy also. In fact, see, one thing like the liquidity has been very strong in the Indian markets, and that is supporting the performance of some of these newly listed stocks.
Okay, markets have opened. So we can focus on that. 70 points higher, 23,800. Thank God we've seen a positive start. Nifty Bank about 0.7% up. That's the one that's outperforming the Nifty. 51,608 right now. 375 points higher is what it is opening at. When we look at the private banks, they are inching further up, 0.7% higher. Stocks like ICICI Bank is definitely that's something that you can look at, a percent higher now at 1310. Axis Bank, IndusInd Bank, these are also opening up about 0.9% higher for Axis Bank. IndusInd Bank opening about 0.8% up in trade. The Nifty Bank is clearly the focus today. PSU banks have also further gathered strength, 0.8% higher for the index as well. SBI is pulling that up. Apart from that, in the private sector banks, you can also see Kotak and even HDFC Bank now pulling up 0.6% higher in trade. Financial services also, some of the movers are coming in strong on that one as well. 0.6% higher for the index on the financial services space. Again, you have stocks like Bajaj Finance, Power Finance Corporation, Cholamandalam. These are the pockets that are buzzing in trade. Autos are about 0.3% higher. Let's look at the F&O space. Abbott India is about 2% up. Max Healthcare Institute is up by 1.5%. You have Canara Bank and Nalco also pulling up in trade. Then we also have what is pulling down. Okay, so the pharma is slightly flat to a negative bias. Mid caps are absolutely flat right now. Media stocks are down, but rest of the spaces and realty also about 0.5% lower. But rest of the pockets still look to be up and about in trade. Let's look at what's driving up momentum in the broader markets. Landmark Properties 4.4% higher in trade. Then you also have EPAC Durable. It's been consistently on the move, another 5% higher. Ola Electric is up by 4.6%. Remember, it's expanded 4,000 stores right there. Apart from this, Seagal India, there's this order that's pulling up the stock higher, 5% up now for this one. Kohinoor Foods continuing its move from Tuesday. That's also up and about in trade. A to Z Infra is up in trade as well. Supreme Engineering, those are some of the stocks that are Sagility, that's up by 4.7%, something that Shell has been tracking. What else do you spot, Shell, in the opening? 100 points higher now on the Nifty.
Let's pay attention to Mr. Pandey. Piyushji, when you see the landscape that is building up in India, slowing GDP, absolutely no sign of any capex coming in, any substantial capex coming in from the world of corporate India, and of course, the government heading into the budget and the end of the financial year. What is the macro picture that you are staring at? Rupee at a low, forex dwindling. How is that likely to impact sentiment on long-term shareholders?
See, I would say depreciation of rupee is primarily on account of, I would say, FI selling, and plus we have current account deficit. And in fact, also like say for the urban slowdown, that is something which is impacting the GDP growth. So for the coming budget, I think we might expect some initiatives which will, I would say, drive urban demand. So maybe we can expect some tax cut or maybe some big capex programs that will support income levels. So in a way, I would say uh, uh, also the capex by these private corporates has been very minimal, and that is also, I would say, impacting growth. So I think this Q2 slowdown was, I would say, really unexpected, and government needs to take a couple of initiatives to take the economy back on track.
Tell me, Piyush sir, within the banking space and this entire Nifty Bank, which is the segment that appeals to you more for 2025? Will it be private PSU banks or the NBFC space, which has rather been outperforming in the latter half of 2024?
I cover only IT, telecom, and new companies, right? And maybe I
Okay.
can talk on these micro stuff. Yeah.
Okay. So within the IT pack again, if you could help us understand between the mid caps, especially stocks like Coforge, Persistent, Emphasis, the kind of stocks that moves that we have seen in these particular stocks, the way they have outperformed, will that outperformance continue in 2025?
See, I would say select mid cap or tier two IT stocks like say Coforge or maybe LTM Mindtree. They are expected to do well even in FY26 also. And probably like say for Coforge, which has almost doubled over the last 6 months. And I would say it has been primarily because of their outperformance compared to other IT companies. And they have done well in terms of revenue growth and margin performance. So for Coforge, I would say valuation has caught up, but we can expect compared to other tier 2 IT companies, they are expected to do well.
Okay.
Whereas for LTM Mindtree, I would say the stock has corrected over the last few sessions, but fundamentals remain strong. And for LTM Mindtree, there's this story, I would say the thesis that they should revert back to their operating margin of 17 to 18%. Plus, demand environment is slightly picking up. So among, I would say, mid-sized IT company, LTM Mindtree looks good at the current valuation.
Okay.
21, let's take a detour into the markets. 470 points higher on the Nifty Bank. This is the top performing index as far as markets are concerned today. We track 19 indices for you. 17 are in the green. The advanced decline is fairly positive. 1,580 shares in the green versus 514 that are in the red. Banks are in top form. The Nifty PSU Banking Index, 1 percentage point higher, 6677. Remember, this is also the trade for the budget, which we will see on 1st of February. It being a Saturday, the markets will open. So that's a big positive. Let's look at the railway space. You have gains coming in on RailTel, 1.5% higher, 403. Kernex, 1% higher, 1390. You have Hirect, which is Hind Rectifiers in the green. Modest gains, but gains nonetheless. In the PSU basket, apart from banks, what is looking good? Okay. You have BPCL, 1.4% higher, 296. It's setting up a 95,000 crore rupee refinery in Andhra Pradesh. That's the latest that we have on this one. Okay. Banks and banks and banks all the way. JK Bank, IDBI, Canara Bank, Bank of India, Punjab and Sindh Bank, all of them in the green. Mazgaon Dock, 1.1% higher, 4682. Anything else that is moving in high beta? Let's just check that. Megasoft 4% higher, 5% higher, 98.2. CSB Bank 1.6% higher, 328. J Corp is doing well, 1.5% higher, 321. Inox Green, and of course, there is no stopping Mafang. The ETF that we've been tracking since 36 rupees is now up 1.27%. A very quick look into IT. This is what Piyush tracks. Let's get a better sense with him. Newgen Software, 1.6% higher, 1630. This is a record high. Would you have a clue, Piyush, what is driving Newgen?
Honestly, Newsen is not my coverage, I would say. So it would be difficult for me to comment on this stock. But I would say, but I would say the broad IT rally is primarily driven by a demand environment has become, I would say, significantly better compared to Q2. So that is something which is driving all the IT stocks. And of course, there are some company-specific driving factors for, like, say, uh, companies like, say, Coforge, LTM entry, or in fact, like, say.
Okay. Let's again look at what else is buzzing on the D Street then. On the Nifty Next 50, you have all these banks that are buzzing clearly. PFC, REC are again buzzing. NHPC is buzzing, so the power space is back. Adani Power is also buzzing in trades. This power space can be definitely looked at. In fact, Adani Group as a whole is also showing some strength across the board. There are some green ticks that you can see definitely across the board, so keep an eye out on that too. Apart from the banking and the power space, what else is buzzing? Again, it's the NBFC space. 361 RAM is up 2.2%. Then you have GOG, SBFC Finance, Fed Bank Financial Services, all of them also buzzing in trade. Apart from that, when we look at, okay, NTPC Green is something that you can look at. Today it's down by about 3%, and this is also because, remember, the 1 month lock-in period is ending today. So that could unlock, 183 million shares, 2% of the total shares for trading, and this release is probably leading to some pressure now, 4.9% down, 126.4 odd levels. Do you track the solar space as well and the renewable energy space as well, Piyush?
See, I track telecom and US companies besides IT stocks.
Okay, got that. So that's as far as NTPC Green is concerned. Like you're saying that, the telecom space is something that you're looking at. We've seen the latter half of 2024 been a lot of pain for the entire sector from the time the AGR dues, news had come in and the Supreme Court had taken that decision, but Bharti Airtel has been outperforming. It's also probably given all the dues that it was supposed to give in terms of AGR. Should one continue to stick with Bharti Airtel within the telecom space? Are there others, maybe the ancillaries, that you are still looking at and positively?
See, in the telecom space, I would say Bharti remains the long-term compounder. So company continues to benefit from, I would say, the tariff hikes. Plus, it ARPU also continues to grow because of 2G to 4G migration, higher postpaid addition, and plus some contribution from, I would say, higher data recharges. And also, like, its capex will moderate going ahead, and we might expect higher free cash flow from Bharti Airtel. Uh, and also, like, see, also Bharti is gaining market share at the expense of Vodafone Idea. So that is something I would say is putting the market in sort of like a duopoly structure, where Bharti and Jio are gaining market share. So in a way, it remains a long-term compounder with, I would say, increasing free cash flow, uh, increasing market share, plus improvement in the operating margin.
What we'll do is a 100-point uptick on the Nifty. Nifty IT index is on the back foot. Let's just look at the kind of volume that has come into the market. Remember, it's supposed to be a light day, volatile day, and choppy day because most global markets are shut, and there is nothing much that's likely to happen as far as buying is concerned. So, gold exporter Rajesh Exports, 8% higher, 248. Volume is a substantial 11 times 5-day average. Chemplast, 2.3% higher, 519. We have Phenolics Cables, down 2.8%, 1,234, and volume is a decent 30%, 40% in the first 10 odd minutes of trade. India Cement is doing well, 1.3% higher. Happiest Minds, 1.8% higher. This is a speciality of Piyush. We'll find out what it looks as far as Happiest Minds is concerned. It's been one of the biggest value creators in the last 4 or 5 years, but no stopping New Gen. Now 2.8% higher, 1649. Amber Industries, this is something that's moving on its tie-up with Vivo. No, this is the EMS space. HFCL 0.24% higher, 114. Any all-time highs? Let's look at them. K Fintech 1575, 6.6% higher. New Gen 361, and of course, Loyal Metals. So these are the spaces that are doing pretty well. A view on Happiest Minds from you, Piyush?
I would say Happiest Mind is a company which had underperformed over the last, I would say, 1.5 years. And I would say in terms of multiples, the stock has got derated. So if you see the valuation multiple at which the Happiest Mind had got listed in 2020, I think at the current multiples, it has seen sharp, I would say, down valuation multiples. And the company has recently done 2 acquisitions in terms of process tech, and that is something which will help to improve its BFSI revenue mix and in a way help to drive its revenue growth in the coming quarters. So we are sort of positive on Happiest Minds, and we expect that in coming quarters, especially from Q4 onwards, we can expect a positive build-up in momentum. Uh, Especially at the current valuation levels, the stock is trading at roughly price to earning of around 25x on FY27 basis. It looks good.
Okay, one more stock from the same space I'll bring up for you, Piyush, then. Intellect Design Arena, 8.5% higher. It's jumped to the top spot in the market, in the space, as well as high point of the day. And not just today, the stock has been on the move since the last 1 month. About 35, 37% kind of a surge is what we have seen on this one. How are you looking at this re-rating? Can this momentum continue? And if someone who is looking to buy this stock at this point in time, what should one keep in mind?
See, intellect design, I don't cover actively, but for the company, what has been driving the performance in recent quarters is that its BFSI mix, especially its deals regarding the central banking, is something which is supporting the performance. If you have noticed the commentary from most of the IT companies, their BFSI vertical is really doing well with tangible green shoots, and that is something that is also supporting the performance of, I would say, intellect design.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, the first 15 minutes have lapsed. This is as good a time as any to look at Nifty. It's maintained its momentum, and that's primarily because of the movement that we are seeing in banks. It's banks and banks and banks all the way. Let me just look at what is contributing to Nifty's this very decent 100.5% uptick. Okay, ICICI Bank 23 points in the green. SBI is contributing 11 points. Axis Bank 8.5 points, and HDFC Bank 7 points. M&M is also pulling in about 5.8 points. What is pulling the Nifty down? There is no respite for Asian Paints. Now down another 0.5%. There is Cipla, there is Divi's Lab, very minor gains as far as the Nifty is concerned. Anything that can be looked into the small cap space. Let me look at what the small cap and the mid cap indices are doing. Mid cap mid 100 is flat, down 0.1%. Small cap is flat as well. Advanced decline is not in favor of bulls, and overall it's also slipped a bit. 1,320 shares in the green versus 900 that are in the red. So it's slowly but surely slipping in favor of bears. Let us see how it goes. New highs we've already marked. Sakshi, let's look at circuits. If there are any circuits on buyers only. Okay, DCM Industries 10% higher, 115. Shakti Pumps, post the split, the counter is still 5% higher. I remember reading that the promoter had purchased some shares from the market, but the quantity was so low that it became irrelevant. You've been marking EPAC 5% higher, fresh record high, 501.6. Any other names that I'd like to take on air? No, we'll leave it at that. Any seller circuits? That's even interesting. No, we'll avoid these shares on air. Nothing much to talk about. Let's look at the most top gainers in the month of December so far in the FNO space. We've marked them both. Intellect Design, 28% higher in December. Newgen Software, 24% higher. K Fintech, 25% higher. Amber Industries, 25% higher. And surprise, surprise, Indraprasth Gas, 21% higher. Some of them are also FNO stocks, in particular Indraprasth Gas. Let's look at the FNO space. Where do we have outperformance in terms of sheer uptick in a negative market? BSE, 15% in December. These are all upticks. Oberoi Realty and Dixon, 13% each. Lodha and Dr. Reddy's, 11% each. CDSL and Paytm, 10% each, and so on and so forth. So these are outperformers that are there, ladies and gentlemen, in the FNO space for the month of December. Rollovers here will be very strong. Sakshi.
Okay, got that. Some of the newly listed stocks are also buzzing. International Gemological Institute is continuously on the buzz since its listing day. Another 6.5% higher in trade, also again in trade today. Within the broader markets, apart from the ones that we have marked, K Fintech is again moving up. It's another 6% higher in trade. That's also on the buzz and has been so in the last few odd trading session. Umang Dairies is now pulling up 5.5% higher in trade. J&K Bank, again from the banking space, is up by about 6% in trade. Apart from this, Panacea Biotech is another 5% higher. These are some of the stocks that are actually buzzing. General Insurance Corporation is also up by 5.5% higher in trade. That's also buzzing strongly. Then you have stocks like, what else is buzzing? These are some of the stocks that we've already marked. Then apart from this, of course, it's the PSU banking space that's really driving up. And about railway space, again, some of the stocks that are pulling up. IRFC is definitely on the continued action that we see on this one as well. Okay, let's come back to Piyush to discuss the new age tech space that he has been tracking very, very closely. Ola Electric for you. Although it's an auto play, but a lot of technology that it is betting, backing on and betting on. You have a view on this one?
See, Ola Electric, they have been a pioneer in the two-wheeler space, especially in the electric segment. But however, I would say recently there have been some issues regarding distribution and customer service, which they are trying to sort it out. But however, I would expect that the electric segment remains somewhat, there is some sort of uncertainty in the near term, which might impact its performance. And plus also like the other established players like Bajaj and TVS, they have also come up with their own electric two-wheelers, which are picking up sharply. So I would say competition should pick up in this two-wheeler electric segment, and that can have an impact on Ola Electric. So maybe it is something which one will have to watch out for the next 2 to 3 quarters, and then see how Ola Electric responds to rising competition plus other, like say, issues regarding which it has been facing in the recent quarters.
9:37, ladies and gentlemen. The market, as far as the Nifty is concerned, is now battling the bears at 23,800. So at least 23,800 is with the bulls, and that's a very, very positive development. Any thematic stocks that are doing well, just let me check some of them. J&K Bank, 5.7% higher, 103.75. Battery maker Amara Raja, 1227, 2.7% higher. We have Maharashtra Bank about 1% higher at 54 rupees. Oil marketing companies and the entire energy space doing okayish. IOC 0.7% higher, Oil India 0.5% higher. What else is in the green? Let's look at the capital goods space. This is also not exactly buzzing with gains, but Shakti Pumps I've marked. Par India 1.2% higher, 14,201. Shanti Gears, Praj Industries, Kirloskar Brothers, and of course Azad Technologies, Azad Engineering 1715, a third of a percent higher. Strong moves coming into battery makers. Amara Raja is something that you can watch on the screen, and of course NIACL and GIC Ray. NIACL was beaten black and blue because the government could not decide for reasons best left to it what to do with the insurance space. Now up 5% today, 207,208. Ditto for GIC Ray. It's climbed back above the 500 rupee mark. And again, up 7.5% today. All-time high is 516, 517. So that's how the volume is building up in the markets on a light, volatile day, Sakshi.
Absolutely. So this is what was being seen, but so far we are holding on to 23,828, about 100 points higher on the Nifty. Let's hope that continues. But the pockets that have slipped lower in terms of sectors, realty is down 0.4%, media is down 0.5%, pharma is down 0.2% lower. The broader markets have slipped, mid and the small caps. FMCG, IT and consumer durables also below the flat line. What's holding up is PSU banks. That's the space that's outperforming, 1.3% higher. Oil and gas about 0.6% up. The Nifty Bank overall is up by about 0.6% too. So all the three constituents are contributing. Apart from that, autos and metals and infra, some of the other pockets that are actually contributing to the gains right now. Coming back to Piyush now. Piyush, again within the new age tech space, I have to understand from you, with the kind of move that we have already seen on Swiggy in the last about 1 month odd or so, it's caught up and reduced the valuation gap that we were increasingly talking about when it got listed. The catch-up trade is still on. Your own sense of how are you approaching these two for 2025? Do you think these are both the stocks that investors should keep an eye out on for the new year, or should there be a preference of one over the other, and why?
Yeah, I would say it's sort of like a duopoly market, where Zomato and Swiggy, they dominate this food delivery market. And in a way, I would say like the recent traction in, I would say, quick commerce, especially Blinkit and Swiggy Instamart, that is also driving the performance of these two companies. And in terms of valuation, I would say multiples that should close on. So in FY26, we can expect the valuation gap between these two companies to narrow down further. And in a way, I would say, as a portfolio approach, I would say one can have positions in both these companies, and that should be a better place to drive performance.
941, ladies and gentlemen. Again, slippage is seen in the broader markets. NSE 500 is now just 36 points, 37 points higher at 22,439. The Bank Nifty has also slipped, but slipped just marginally. Ditto for Nifty Bank, a 400-point rally has now been reduced to just 300 points. And weakness on the IT index is now slightly on the higher side. That is how the markets are moving. In terms of small cap stocks, let's look at another data that I often see. Just a moment, please. It'll take me a while to raise this information. But let's look at the small cap 100 index. Okay, only two stocks are above 5%, which is Intellect Design, 8.5% higher, J&K Bank 5.6% higher. Are there any stocks that have fallen between 5 and 3%? Yes. Hind Copper, down 4.5%. Mannapuram Finance, profit booking almost 4% lower. And Finolex Cables, down 3.4%. Only 35 stocks, 38 stocks are in the green, 59 plus 3, 62 stocks are in the red. How about mid cap 100? Let's see some outperformers here. Nothing is there outperforming. How about the NSE 500? Are there any stocks that are up above 5%? GIC Ray, K Fintech, and of course, Rajesh Expo. So these are the ones, ladies and gentlemen. These are modest but decent size moves that are coming in, and markets are jittery, and the markets are volatile on the weekly expiry. That's how it is. Let's hope that no traders get killed today, because normally you see very, very volatile action on how the expiries pan out, and today is the big one. Sakshi.
Okay, got that. 9:43. We will be looking at the last 15 minutes on the show. Our 23,800 is still protected, 75 points higher as far as the Nifty is concerned. But let's hope that sustains as well. Within the broader markets, you are seeing a lot of action build up in the oil and gas space. BPCL is now up 2% higher. Union Bank of India from the PSU Bank space is up by 2%. Apart from that, you also have Abbott, RBL Bank, Indraprastha Gas. So a mix of oil and gas as well as the banking space that's actually up and about. Insurance space is also buzzing in trade. SBI Life Insurance is now 1% higher. Remember, I talked about GIC Ray as well. So, and HDFC Life is up by half odd percent. So this space also you can definitely keep an eye out on to see how the buzz is continuing on this one. Apart from this, let's also look at the kind of move that is further pulling up. Dhani Services now 4% higher. 5-star Business Finance is up by 3% higher. So it's the NBFC space continues to be in the buzzing zone. Geojit we marked now is up 2% higher in trade. So further pulling up in trade right now. So the banks, NBFC space, that clearly is in the thickest zone right now. But let's pull up IT again. This is something that Piyush really closely tracks as well. Let us in fact look at only 3 winners today. The sector has slipped and so have all the stocks right here. Piyush, what is your expectation for the Q3 earnings right there? While we have been seeing the US counterparts continuing to outperform, with the Nasdaq continuing at record levels right there, and multifold increase for all of these stocks. Your own sense on what is there that is preventing the IT stocks from outperforming right now, and what is your expectation on the upcoming Q3 earnings?
The IT stocks have done over the last 3 to 4 months. So if you look at 3 to 4 months period, they have done well. And in Q3, I think we can expect a better decent performance from the IT companies. Of course, there will be impact of furloughs, which is generally happens in the month of December. But overall, I would say we can expect some of these companies like say Infosys and HCL Tech to revise upward their guidance for FY25, and that is something which will be taken positively by the markets. Overall, the key thing will be commentary like the type of traction they are getting in generative AI projects, plus their headcount addition plan for the rest of these for the coming quarters. That is something I would say commentary would be the key, which would be keenly watched by the market, and plus some of key projects in artificial intelligence and machine learning. That is something which market wants to know the type of projects they are doing in these areas. So overall, we are hopeful about this Q3, and but stocks have run up over the last few months. But I would say in terms of numbers, I think there is I would say more certainty, and commentary would be the key factor.
Within the IT space, which are the top 2 stocks which you feel will have a very strong Q3?
See, I would say in terms of margin improvement, Tech Mahindra would have a better margin improvement, primarily because of low base, and they have some low hanging fruits where they can deliver better margin for Q3. In terms of revenue growth performance, I would say Coforge would be the one which should have very strong revenue growth for the Q3 onwards. But that is what market already has factored in. So these 2 companies plus Infosys, we can expect a decent performance with somewhat upward revision in the guidance for FY25.
What about Wipro?
See, for Wipro, the Q3 guidance was already weak, and we expect that performance would be along the guidance range. And but I would say the key would be like what they're guiding for, like say coming Q4 and plus the type of headcount they are planning to do in the coming quarters. And of course, there has been change in management recently, couple of quarters ago, and market needs to know his plans, how he plans to take Wipro to higher growth levels. I think it will take time, but comment out. But let's see how those things take shape. Yeah.
Okay, again a detour into the markets, 9:48. Let's start with the Nifty. We'll look at the top performing stock in the Nifty, which is BPCL, 2.3% higher, almost 299. State Bank of India, 821, 1.1% higher. Axis Bank, 1% higher, 1089. SBI Life, 1.1% higher. So it's the entire insurance space that is buzzing in the green, which essentially means that look at NIACL, look at uh, look at GIC Ray. I wonder what Star Health is doing. That should also be buzzing in the green. It had moved very sharply over the last a week or so. No, nothing is happening on Star Health. 486.60. So keep an eye out on these. Uh, how about LIC? That's the biggest player in this space. What is LIC doing? Well, nothing at all. 892. The slippages continue. Remember, the most recent high was 1005 that we saw on 9th of December. From 1005, a single downtick for the last maybe 10, 12 trading sessions, 890. Sakshi, what are you watching?
Well, Shell, PSU banks is something that has been outperforming, and that's the space that one should look at the way it's coming back. And apart from that, metals have recovered as well. Remember, on Tuesday, this again had lost a lot of ground, so that's also picking up pace. Looking at the winners now, Nalco clearly 1.8% higher, NMDC, JSW Steel, Adani Enterprises, Hindalco. These are the pockets that are buzzing. There's been a continued divided opinion on the metals pack, viewers, as far as the outlook for 2025 is concerned. The street is divided as to whether this space will be able to outperform, or will there be continued cyclicality that one have to see on this one as well. So that space is something that we will continue to get you various views on. International Gemological Institute, the newly listed stock, is now up 9%. I had marked it when it was about 4.5% higher in the initial part when the markets had opened. So strong moves continuing on this one. Let's look at the last 1 week move, and you'll get to see how the stock has really moved up right from its listing day. 22% surge is what we've actually seen in just a few trading sessions, not even a week actually on this one. So it's been a continuous driving force in the new age tech space for this one as well, new age listed stocks as well. Let's look at some other spaces then. Let's look at what is happening in the defense space. We haven't marked that one in trade today. Remember, we've been marking various stocks from the defense and railways pack ahead of the budget, how these spaces are garnering momentum. DCX Systems is now up 1.4%. Mazicon Dock, remember, the split is going to be in force, and Mazicon is also up in trade and 1.2% higher. And it's going to be getting trading X split tomorrow. So I think the last day to buy for eligibility is in fact today for Mazagon Dock. So keep an eye out on that right there, investors, for you to be able to take the benefit of the split shares. The stock will be split into 1:2 tomorrow, that is December 27th. So that's something that you can look at. BEL, Data Patterns, HAL, that's also in the buzzing zone. Cochin Shipyard also was up and about in trade. However, some of the other stocks have also slipped, so there's a divided move right here. Piyush, let's come back and throw a question to you now. For 2025, you tell us, what is it that you are going to be devising as strategy for the key three sectors that you're tracking?
So I would say it should be like, say, 50% is IT, 30% is telecom, and 20% is new age companies. Yeah.
Okay. That's the view.
953. Let's look at another part of the market, which is paper stocks and hotel stocks. Paper because of spaces which remain in single digit. You have stocks such as Star Paper, 0.1%, 1% higher, 222. JK Paper, 0.7% higher, 436. Ruchira Paper, 0.7% higher, 132. Malu Paper at 46 rupees 30 is also 0.7% higher. All tire stocks, by the way, are down today. And that's primarily just profit booking. Goodyear, 0.2% lower. Nothing much to lose. JK Tire, 0.25% lower. How about cable stocks? We've been marking Phenolics cables since morning. Nothing much here. Universal cables 1% higher. Motherson Sumi wiring 0.6% higher. EEI diamond cable in the green. Polycab marginally in the green 7,098. Let's look at if there are any new highs that have come in. Market on that side. No, only four that we are tracking, and they are themselves in a good trade. Bharti Airtel 1.1% higher, 1600. Piyushji, before we let you go, within the system of telecom ancillaries like Tejas Networks, like Valiant Communications, like HFCL, to some extent ITI, any stocks that catch your fancy that you are researching for the better 2025-26?
See, I would say in terms of business prospects, I would say Tejas has a better outlook because it seems to get benefits from this BSNL 4G deal. And plus other companies like say tower companies like say Indus Tower. So I'm also positive on these tower companies because capex by this Vodafone Idea plus BSNL should drive better tenancies for these tower companies. So we can plus also this cash flow issues should get sorted for Indus Tower primarily because Vodafone has taken a price hike recently, and plus these higher tenancies would drive better margin for the tower companies. So in a way, Indus Tower has also corrected over the last, I would say, couple of months, and at the current valuation, it looks reasonable. So value pick plus in terms of tenancies, in terms of cash flows, that should improve in coming quarters. So it looks good as a tactical bit, apart from Bharti Airtel.
MobiKwik has moved to the high point of the day, 5% now higher at 640. This is after 10 lakh shares of 1.4% equity of MobiKwik worth 66.5 crores has also changed hands today at 635 rupees per share. That's moved up now 6.5% higher in trade. What's your sense on MobiKwik? Do you think after the recent rally there is still much more to go from here on? Should a fresh investor look at this stock or just now wait it out?
I would say for MobiKwik, one needs to watch performance in the next couple of quarters, next 3 to 4 quarters.
Okay.
Because one needs to see how growth and margin performance shapes out in the coming quarters, and maybe the type of multiple the companies should get based on the performance. So I think it would be too early to make a bet on MobiKwik, and one needs to watch it for next 3 to 4 quarters how this performance shapes out. Because see, if you look, see, if you recollect, like say for Zomato, I think over the last 4 5 quarters, we have seen that there has been improvement in margin profile, and one have a better visibility about its outlook. Similarly, it would be better to wait, I would say, for MobiKwik before taking a larger bet.
Okay, 9:57. Let's start wrapping up the show. 23,800 where the bulls and bears are battling. The low for the market today on the Nifty is 23,773 and the high is 23,854. So on this week, on this monthly expiry rate, the Nifty is in a very narrow trading point range of about 54 plus say 30, 85 points. The Bank Nifty is doing well, but it's way off its day's high, 229 points higher. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the declines are more than the advances. So 1242 shares in the red versus 1003 shares which are in the green. Let's look at some market statistics. There's absolutely no stopping NIACL. 7.2% higher, 212. GIC Ray is 10 percentage points higher, 516, on its way to make a fresh all-time high. 4 digits for Intellect Design, 10 percentage points higher, 1010. So too many tens here. Blue Dart, for some strange reason, is up 7.5%, 76.20. Amongst the losers, it's Hind Copper, down 5%. Mannapuram, profit booking, down 4%. You have Triveni, down 3%. And of course, in terms of most actives, it's Intellect Design, K Fintech, that's very nice, 7% higher, 1583, fresh high. Amber Technologies, 320 crores worth of transactions done. Mazgaon Dow ahead of the split, 310 crores done. And of course, GIC Ray, 216 crores done. New highs, the same lot, K Fintech, Newgen, 361, and Lloyds Metals. Sakshi.
Okay, we'll thank you, Piyush, then, for being with us on this morning edition to share with us all your thoughts and ideas. Good to have you with us on the show. And we'll wrap up the trade. Well, look at the Nifty, 0.3% up right now, 68 points higher, although we've slipped below that 23,800 mark. Let's see how it goes from here. And we've slipped from the high point of the day. 51,460 right now on the Nifty Bank, 0.4% higher. It's outperforming the Nifty for sure. PSU Banks now up 0.9%, slightly off the high point of the day as well for the index. Oil and gas space 0.5% higher. Private banks up 0.5%. Financial services 0.4% up. You have the auto space that's up 0.3%. Infra is up 0.3%. Metals just about flat with a positive bias, and so also consumer durables. But clearly in the low, you have realty that's now down nearly 1%, losing a lot of ground there. Media stocks, mid and small caps as well, down 0.3% in trade. Top movers on the Nifty are BPCL, SBI Life Insurance, Adani Ports, Bharti Airtel, and Axis Bank. When we look at the top losers, Trent has slipped away, now below 7,000 odd mark, 0.5% lower. Cipla, Tech Mahindra, Asian Paints, Tata Consultancy Services are the other top drags. On the F&O space, you have Nalco as an outperformer, Indian Bank, Abbott India, and even BPCL as some of those stocks which are outperforming. On the lower side, Hindustan Copper has now slipped 5% in the F&O space. Manappuram Finance, Cummins India, Bandhan Bank and PVR Inox, they continue to reel under pressure. The PSU stocks, however, are still doing better, 0.6% up, largely led by the oil and gas names and even the power packed names right there, especially BPCL. Then you have Power Finance Corporation, NMDC, REC, BHEL, ONGC. These are the kind of stocks that are actually buzzing in the PSU space. All right, viewers, we'll wrap it up at that on this edition then. But do stay tuned, viewers, throughout the course of the day, not just regular market shows, but we'll also be getting you fascinating insights from top market masters on the outlook on 2025. So stay tuned for that.
A two-day meeting of the high-powered GST Council in Jaisalmer, attended by nearly all state finance ministers and headed by Union Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman. Several important decisions were taken at the meet, but what ended up hitting headlines, particularly in social media, was the decision to take the humble popcorn in 3 slabs from 5% to 18%. Social media erupted with